Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Learning Droid, or should I say the Gaming Droid, and welcome to Running Shadow. This is a game by Game Insight, which is a publisher that does an awful lot of free-to-play games, and unfortunately an awful lot of pay-to-win style free-to-play games with a large focus on microtransactions. This is an infinite runner. It's one of the very few infinite runners available on Steam as a free-to-play at the moment. The infinite runner genre is about a character that runs forwards without your control, and then you input your controls to move the character around and deal with obstacles within the infinite runner. A lot of them tend to be rhythm, timing, or reaction based. This one I would say is a reaction based infinite runner, but there are ways that the game makes it easier and harder depending on what kind of microtransactions you've done and what you've chosen. The game is a little bit grindy and can get a little bit grindy, but the microtransactions are there to kind of let you bypass the grind. Now, if you enjoy the actual running mechanics themselves and if you enjoy the game, the grind isn't that much of an issue, but replaying the same level over and over again for some people can get very frustrating. So let's just have a quick look at some of the microtransactions. So one of the main things in the game is that you get health, defense and rage. And these affect your ability to continue with the level after issues have happened, after things have gone wrong. And some of the best ways of dealing with this is, or upping your stats, is to buy suits from the DLC. Now these come at about £4 or $6 a piece, and you can see that gives you plus 30 defense, plus 100 to your health. Now you can gain these abilities. For instance, this purchased DLC sword is about, I think it's part of a uniform, so it's part of the $6 sets, and it gives you plus 30 rage. Now you can buy a sword, but that takes an awful lot of grinding to get up to the point where you can actually afford the sword. Some of the garb, so you've got your vestments at the moment, which you can upgrade with gold to make slightly better, and the upgrade would give you an extra 50 health. But you can get an extra 200 health by buying the improved Disciple's Garb, which you can see here. If this chooses to load, are you going to load today, Steam? You are going to load today. And you can see that this is part of the Fierce Retribution set, and the Fierce Retribution set is approximately $8. And then you have your Gauntlet, and your Gauntlet is one of the early items you gather, which lets you resurrect in the middle. So let's go into a game and I will show you the very simple controls. The controls are the 4 buttons, up, down, left and right. Meet these conditions to begin your quest. Okay, so I have to upgrade my armor to begin my quest here. There's a little bit of storyline about a group of people who are trying to bring around the end of the world and a group of people who are trying to stop it. And you become a patsy for the bad guys, which is revealed very early on. So I have a shield mechanic there, so I can go through things that are going to damage me. And I'm just using left and right to switch lanes, duck to go underneath things, jump to jump over things, and then I can turn when I get to corners by timing my left and right commands. Up and down.
Excellent.
Up and down lets me fight opponents, and I currently have a free thing that tells me which direction I have to go. Later on I will have to make those decisions myself based upon where the enemy places their weapon. So if the weapon goes up, I go down. If the weapon goes down, I go up. It's a very simple mechanic, it's a very simple game, it's reasonably nicely done. There's been a lot of comparisons to Temple Runner, which I definitely agree with, and that was a invincibility that I gathered there. Didn't quite realise I gathered it and dodged half the stuff anyway. Ooh, went the wrong way. And went the wrong way again. That time I got hit. You can correct if you go the wrong way, so if you're mid-jump and you push down, you can avoid a jumping opponent. And that's a mission. It's a nice, simple, quick little runner game. And it gives you a reward, which is gold and a little bit of experience. And also you gather lives, and this is another one of the mechanics. It is you have a limited number of lives, and you can purchase additional lives for gold in game, or you can purchase lives for via or I'm pretty sure you can purchase gold via DLC. Yes, add gold. So this is one of the weird things, is this has a lot of DLC to it. This has a lot of microtransactions to it. But 2,500 gold for 99 cents, or 7,500 gold for $3. It's one of the cheaper microtransaction sets. The microtransactions are actually price pointed at a reasonable point. But at the same time, like, it is very heavy with the microtransactions, and it's designed to encourage you to buy microtransactions. There's a huge number of buy these things popping up all the time. I'm going to get rid of the slide guide so you can see the mechanic of actually sort of picking which direction to go with enemies. So he's going up, so I've got to go down. And it's just a case of keeping your eyes open. It's a game of twitch reactions, this one. So this one is a reaction runner rather than a rhythm runner. Now the levels don't change, so you can learn. It can also be a memorization runner. Ah, I need a better sword to defeat him. And again, this game is... there's nothing wrong with the game in general, but it does seem to be very heavily geared towards getting you to do microtransactions. And Game Insights promote and make mostly free-to-play games, and a lot of them are the browser-based cow clicker style games, the games that are designed very much around encouraging microtransactions. Collection, Deadly Steel. Find the Hunter's Standard. So you can go back and you can play previous missions, and in playing previous missions you have the opportunity to gain additional items. So I can find the Master Eagle's asked you to bring something important from the lower city, a standard. Complete the quest in the lower city to get it. So I'm now gathering items for the group that I have sided with. It's not bad, but then again, like I've often said to people who say browser-based games like cow clickers are bad games, in reality oftentimes they're not. In reality they're actually pretty standardized games. They're not bad, but they're not good either. They're just there being games.
Excellent.
And that's a triggered double button push to do a fancy set of movements. But they are very much geared towards encouraging people who perhaps don't know better to spend more money than perhaps they should on microtransactions, which is a little bit shady. However, if you recognise this and you don't spend money that you don't have, don't spend money that you can't afford to spend, then there's nothing wrong with cow clickers, there's nothing wrong with idle games, there's nothing wrong with this sort of infinite runner. The grind does get a little bit frustrating at times if you want to progress in the storyline and can't, and that's where they will cause you to have an encouragement to pay those microtransactions. So overall, like, the game's mechanics are very solid, the character is responsive. As far as a track-based infinite runner goes, it's a very good track-based infinite runner. The graphics are solid. The design theme is quite nice. I haven't yet seen them massively break the design theme. The floating coins have a kind of Sonic-esque vibe to them. A very kind of old video game vibe to the design of it. The recognizing where people are going to go and where enemies are going to be standing, where they're going to attack. It's a pleasant, fun little game to play. However, spending, I personally think that it's not designed in a friendly way when it comes to the transactions. This is one of the major things I have with free-to-play games. I am fully aware that free-to-play... Ooh, I fell off the world. Whoops. I'm fully aware that free-to-play games have to make money somehow. They have to be able to afford to pay the developers. People have spent time and money and large amounts of effort. They've bought softwares, they've paid for graphics, they've paid other people to do bits of coding that they couldn't do. They've spent time and effort in making something, and whether it's a company or an individual, they do need some kind of recompense, some kind of return. But I think there's different ways of doing microtransactions, different ways of doing monetization in these sorts of games, and some of them can be positive ways and some of them aren't. I think this one's kind of in the middle. You can progress without doing microtransactions. You are never forced into doing microtransactions, as far as I've found out.
Gold reward!
There's no point where you can't progress in the game without microtransactions, as long as you are willing to put the effort in and put the work in. A fraternity of spies said the cultists are getting ready for a gathering. We need to slip in and eavesdrop on them. Heard our spies report. Plan the novice coin of the old ones. The outlaw will let him into the dungeon for us. Okay. Trading collection of 5 old coins. Search for them and use the shadow. And a shadow will train well in the skills of the members of the fraternity. Okie dokie. So, as far as the game goes, it's a decent game. It's got good graphics. It's got a kind of generic but okay storyline. It's got tight controls. It's entertaining to play. I would say that it is perhaps a little bit baity, but it's not the worst as it comes for microtransactions. It does try and bait you into making microtransactions, but on the other side of things, it is also not ridiculously unfair in that it robs you of your lives in the first mission so that you have to pay money, or that it gets you hooked and then basically makes progression impossible. Progression takes a lot of time when you're not making microtransactions, because you have to save up to upgrade your equipment, and you have to save up to buy equipment, and you have to be running the same missions repeatedly to get the money together to progress. But on the other side of things, some people like that kind of repetition. Some people like that kind of return to progression. So all in all, I think it's a reasonably solid game. It's a free-to-play game, and again, like this is the thing. To enter this mission, I have to purchase a key. This is part of the storyline. I have to purchase a key to enter the mission, and it's saying, you have this much gold. If you don't have enough gold, you can always buy gold. It's not saying go back and complete more missions to get more gold, go and find more gold. It's not saying, oh, this key for this mission is in another level, so go and complete another level and gather the key. It's saying, buy this key, and if you don't have enough money, then you can add more money in exchange for real cash. So it's a little bit, it baits you into making purchases. It's a little bit make a purchase from us kind of request. And it does it at the start of every single mission. There's always something that comes, whether it's a pop-up or it's just something saying you can buy these things to make this mission easier. It's a little bit gathery, a little bit clawy with the money. But other than that, like, the game is very solid and stable. The character movement is easy and quite a lot of fun to move. It's quite a simple game. It's quite responsive. The floating coins are a nice little kind of old gamer style touch that I quite like. It's like collecting rings in Sonic. There's no real complexity to it. There's no real difficulty to, like, mastering the controls. You can buy things that tell you which direction you have to push when you're fighting guards, but I find them more of a distraction than anything. And there's multiple paths that you can take in certain dungeons to lead you certain ways. There's also the awkwardness that, wow, I just ran straight into a wall and killed myself. Insta-killed myself as well. And you see, here it's asking me to use a resurrection stone to resurrect myself mid-mission. Yes, I know. I know.
Excellent.
And it didn't even actually let me leave the mission at that point. It just asked me to resurrect, and when I tried to leave, it shadowed it out. And those lives are limited, and you can purchase more of them with gold. And of course, although you can purchase more of them with in-game currency, later on, if your in-game currency starts to run low, it will prod you and prod you and prod you into encouraging you to buy in-game currency using real-world money. So, The game, solid, fun, easy to control, responsive, decent graphics. It's a Temple Run rip-off, basically. It's an infinite runner in the Temple Run style. But it does have a bit of a microtransaction issue, which is common in certain kinds of free-to-play game, especially browser-based free-to-play game, which is what Game Insights, the developer, mainly focused on. So that was Running Shadow. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye.